morning. Happy Saturday. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is John. We've been friends for about 25 years, give or take. And he's got an interesting story that we want to talk about today and share with you. Let's go ahead and bring Mr. Hehman over. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing really good.
Excellent.
I've got a long day ahead, though. It's gonna be a good day.
What do you got planned for the day?
I am going to be up near your neck of the woods in a couple of hours.
Okay. What are
I'm
you
going
going
to
to
be
do?
up near Elkhart, Indiana.
You got something fun going on?
Yeah, we've got the two crazy ketos. They're another keto channel, one of the bigger channels, are picking up a new travel trailer. So we're having like a last minute meetup up at the place called Smokin' Fatties. I'm like, it's not lost on me. I mean, I don't know how long this place has been open, but it's right on the Michiana border. So it totally makes sense.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. So introduce yourself. Your name is John. We've been friends for 100 years.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
I met you because of the band that you were in back in the day.
Yeah.
It was a band called Perfect Nothing. Not necessarily relevant to today's conversation, but it just kind of showcases where life can lead you and how things change, right?
Yes, sir. Man, guys. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Hi. Thank you, Dustin. I am John Hehman, Master Certified Life Coach, former guitar player of Perfect Nothing in my teens. I'm in my 40s now, though, so it's been a bit. But yeah, no, Perfect Nothing, man. That was all of those cats. I'm proud of all of them, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
Watching all of those people become the people that they've became in life. Super proud. One of them is a doctor. Another one was a broker for Charles Schwab for a bit. Like, proud, super proud.
It's just one of those things, you don't realize how young we were back then. Because I think I come across you guys when I was like 18 or 19 and didn't realize that like most of you guys were like 16, 17.
So Matt is currently, I think he's 49.
Okay.
Randy and Brad are both 48. I am 44. Brandon is 43, and I think Stephanie's 42 or 43, somewhere in there. It's mid to late 40s at this point. So wherever you fall in that.
Yeah, I'll be 45 in June. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So you're younger than half of us and not that much older than the rest of us. Go on, though. You handsome devil. You're still handsome.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten better with age.
Yes, I would say it. Look at you. I just want to caress those cheeks.
When I started doing keto in 2016, about a couple years later, we met up because you had a show with the band that you were in town, and you were telling me, much to my surprise, because you weren't necessarily very vocal about trying it. You had asked me about it once or twice, and then you had brought up to me that it had like done a lot for you, and you were like had lost a bunch of weight, and but you were never heavy like I was. And so I just kind of wondered if you could talk a little bit about that, how that helped you, like what kind of differences you noticed, like mentally, physically, that kind of thing. And what's kind of, because you've kind of stuck with it for the most part. I mean, reasonably well.
Yeah, I've fallen off. I won't lie. I enjoy my Skittles now, unfortunately. If you can't see it in my face. But no, keto, though, it absolutely, like, it works 100%. If you can stick to it, that's the hardest part, is sticking to it. But if you can stick to it, like it will 100% redefine your situation. It changed my gut health for the better. I had digestion issues for decades. Like, absolutely. Like, anyone who traveled with me, anyone I toured with for years could tell you. Just literally ask them. And when I switched to keto and cut out a whole bunch of the processed stuff, all of my digestive issues just went away. And it, I've even had tests, like, what do they call that? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now.
What,
Allergen
gut
tests.
biome tests?
Yeah, like allergen tests, like a legit 400 panel, like, are you allergic to these foods, tests, forgive me. And it came back like I've got like a minor reaction to shellfish and seaweed. And I'm not gluten intolerant, or I guess I am, but I'm not allergic to it, because when I eat bread of any kind now, any kind, like, I'm sprinting to the can. My guts hurt. I feel like I've been stabbed. Like, not for me personally, keto took a giant chunk of pain that I had in my stomach for my entire life and removed it. So that's what it did for me. It allowed me to discover a part about myself that I never knew, and set it aside. And now I live a predominantly gut pain-free life.
That's amazing. I mean, that's one thing that I had started to develop around the time that I started, like just before. And it was complicated too, because the fact that I had a lot of issues where I was going to the bathroom like 5-6 times a day.
Yep.
But then I had an issue where had gotten so big that I had to be very careful of which bathrooms I chose. Like, I couldn't even use our downstairs bathroom anymore. So that makes it more complicated. If you're going more often, and then I was in an office and I'd have to peek in the bathroom, see if the stall that I needed was open. If not, I had to go upstairs or downstairs. And it was just one of those things that people never talk about. And people that, that look from the outside in never have any inkling of what's going on. I never knew you had gut health, but I didn't tour with you or anything like that. But
yeah. Well, it's like you said before the call started, I'm pretty secretive. I don't tell people my business, it's just because it's just myself, but no, I've had, ever since I was a small kid, I had digestion problems. Like, I used to have to have extra pair of underwear. Like, I just would, like, everywhere I went, I was on here you go. How's this for an embarrassing story real quick? On my 8th grade field trip, we had Pizza Hut before we went to the biggest mall in the world at the time, which was in Washington, DC. And I made it to a bathroom from the Pizza Hut. Okay, so we left the Pizza Hut, got on the bus, went to the mall, got out of the bus, was like, oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom. Sprint to the bathroom, do my business. And I thought I was good. But, as we can be sometimes with our overzealousness. We're like, oh, we're done. No, I was not done. So I get up and my friend like hops on, and I'm like sitting here and I'm like, oh no, I got to go again. And he's like, too bad, dude, you had your turn. And I'm like, bro, I got to go. And he's like, sorry. I drop trowel and I squat to hop up on the sink to take a shit in the sink. Because I wasn't going to shit my pants. So I squat down to do this. And, all hell breaks loose all over the floor and my pants and everything else. And this is my 8th grade field trip, mind you. I'm in Washington, D.C. with some chauffeurs and some teachers in my entire 8th grade class. No parents. No confidant. Yeah. It was great. I got looked at like I had 8 heads. One of the chauffeurs. So this is how the story. I'll finish it up for you. A chauffeur walks in of a kid that I wasn't a fan of. His dad or whatever. His dad walks in, sees the scene, and barfs. Just sees it, throws up right there. Just sees it, yaks. No. I don't know what to say. Like, that's what happened. He saw it, he yacked, right? So the next guy that walks in, he's one of the teacher chauffeurs, and he's like, what happened here? And I just told him, and he's like, do you have any money? Not the sob story, everybody, but I didn't have very much money. So I gave him the money I had. And this guy, now, hold on, I have to paint the scene for you. I'm wearing black slacks, a purple and black striped shirt. And this is when I was at my heaviest. So for anyone who's not paying attention or has any idea who I am, I'm 5'8", so I'm not very tall. And I hover between 177 and 185 pounds on average. When I was on keto, on strictly, I was about 165. And when I'm doing whatever I want, I'm at about 220. So, you know, a little back history, right? I wasn't huge, but, you know, I also wasn't small. So anyways, the guy buys, I give him my money and he goes and buys me a pair of spandex shorts. And that's all he buys me. My 8th grade teacher in this situation has a chance to save my ass. And I give him the only money I have and he buys me a pair of spandex shorts. What year was this? This was...
Had to be what, 92, 90, yeah, 93 maybe?
93.
Yeah.
This was in 1993. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And he's like, that's all I could find. I'm like, cool. So I have shit-covered underwear, shit-covered pants, shit-covered socks. I've managed to clean myself up somewhat. I put it all in this bag that he brings me these other underwear in. I've been naked in this mall bathroom for fucking ever. He brings me this other thing and I put it on. And so I'm walking around with dress shoes on, no socks, tight ass underwear, and a long button up purple and black shirt weighing about 200 pounds as an 8th grader. It wasn't very fun.
Oh, I imagine not. Mortifying.
Yeah. So that's one of the previous stories that I keep to myself because, you know,
that's just not one that, you know, to share around the campfire.
Right. Well, I'll tell the world though, because the truth is had I known about my gut health then, that would have never happened. That's why I told you all that story. Had I known that I had a gluten intolerance from whatever, none of that would have ever happened. I would have never ate that bread. So yeah, that's it. The reason for the story is that had I been on keto at that moment, I would have saved myself a lot of problems. So I guess what I was I brought that up for is whoever's watching, think about yourself and think about, you know, your issues and what you don't know that you don't know.
Right. I mean, there's been a lot of things just like that. Like I tell the story of basically, you know, I started the ketogenic lifestyle for weight loss.
Yeah.
But that's not why I continue to live it. It's because mental clarity is unreal. I don't have pain in my knees all the time anymore. I don't have, you know, I was taking like allergy medicine, heartburn medicine. I was taking daily ibuprofen, like enough probably that I probably shouldn't have, you know, been okay. I was taking like 5 doses a day just because of random aches and pains. And then the allergy medicine, I was taking more than most people could take and stay awake throughout the day.
Wow.
I was taking like 4 at a time, 5 times a day, like Benadryl. Just because I was sneezing all the time and it was just eyes were watery. Now, I mean, I don't have those issues. So that's a main reason. Like, you don't know what you're going through until it kind of goes away. I mean, obviously with the gut health issues, you know what's going on, but you don't have a real understanding of what causes it until like you said, you went to doctors.
Oh yeah.
They ran all these tests. They ran all the, you know, the sensitivity tests, the allergen tests, and nothing, you know, everything came back basically inconclusive. So they're just kind of throwing darts at a wall with their eyes closed.
Oh yeah, bro. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
To speak about that, my current primary care physician, that guy and I have tried. I've tried 4 or 5 different like gut meds. I've tried different diets, like all kinds of stuff. And keto is the only thing. And like, I'm like you, I started keto to keep my weight under control because I was, you know, I seen pictures of myself and just being like, oh my God, you know, but you know, like it's a secondary, what I discovered it did for me was a secondary benefit way greater than the weight loss. Yeah. It's pain-free. Like you nailed it. Speaking of, can I sidetrack you just for a second?
Sure.
Are you doing any stretching or anything?
Not really. I probably should. Like, I woke up today and my elbow's sore. because I think I laid on it wrong, but
Right,
the joys of getting older. Yeah.
Sure. No, well, speaking on that, I have been doing like just this little routine. It's probably a half an hour, but it's I stretch each part. I did this little thing. It's probably 20 seconds long on each spot. And if you do it, at least for me, it's just a little routine I came up with. I could share it with you privately.
Yeah.
But it helps. Like I feel I don't end the day with lower back pain. I can go like this, and I feel just fine. You know, and modern sedentary lifestyles, you know, especially if you're a desk worker like yourself or me, you know, you got to get up and stretch. You got to get up and move. Like you can't just, you know, you can't sit
That's
there
the thing. Like just getting up and like getting, you know, basically just getting up and moving around the house, like that. You know, you'll wake up and like, well, this hurts today. But it's not like it's not a constant like it used to be. Like every day you knew your knees were going to hurt. Every day you knew this was going to hurt. But now it's like I slept weird last night. Now it's going to hurt for a couple of days or whatever. But yeah,
that's what stretching will fix is that.
That's what I need to do.
There you go. So the meat or the meat health has helped you, like your body just be like, okay, this is regular. And now the rest of you is being like, yo, let's do a little bit of this too. You got it, man. You got it. So back to the keto thing though. No, my wife did it for a while too, and she had great results. It's just she's a baker by trade. So how the hell is she supposed to do survive on keto, you know? Like but you know, she's doing well for herself. So I can't, you know, I can't speak on her other than I love her and she's fantastic.
Yes, she definitely is fantastic. Now the master certified life coach is something that's kind of new for you, or at least as far as publicly. Can you talk on that a little bit? Like what was the deciding factor for you to go into this? It's probably something that's been on your mind for a while. I mean, obviously to go through the training and classes and do a lot of back end work that you're doing at your house and all that stuff.
Thank you. I would love to talk about it. So the life coaching thing, wow, I'm trying to think of where to start with this with this topic because it's a long one. I'm trying to figure out if you want the 3-hour version or the 15-minute version.
Let's meet in the middle.
Let's meet in the middle, he said.
Yeah, give me like an hour. I don't care.
Give him an hour. Okay, so I've always been interested in human connection, like personally, because it's something I felt I've never had. I've never understood how to acquire it. Like most people, at least for me, no one ever taught me how to acquire human connection or even what it was. And so in my youth and my insecurity, I used my position to my advantage and you know, anyone who was willing to share themselves with me, female predominantly, I would, you know, enjoy as nice as I could say it. Lots of lovely people shared themselves with me when I was younger, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it was insecurities. It's because I didn't think that people were interested in me, that people liked me, that people would care to know me for me, not because of something I could do or some action I could perform, but just because I didn't understand the concept of being a human and existing at all. I know that's a pretty wild statement. Do you have anything to say to that?
I mean, you know, as a friend of yours for as long as we've been friends, you know, I can see that. Like I can see the insecurities, some of the things that I've noticed, like and I brought this up to you a couple of months ago, I think, when we were talking, when you started doing like the daily talks on your channel and such, and you were able to get through an entire video without going, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I know that sounds silly or whatever, but I was very sincere with that because if you can get, you know, I've never been able to see you without somebody flipping off the camera, making a funny face, you know, doing all those things that, you know, those are signs of insecurities.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like, you don't think that, you know, what you have to say is valid. And then seeing you transition into a person that can articulate, the daily talks that you do, and then not go, you know what I mean? It's just like one of those things. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I would, and I know, and maybe nobody else noticed. I don't know, but I noticed it, and I thought, I was like, that's a huge step for somebody. That shows a lot of growth.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, you're the only person. You are the only person who said anything. Thank you. I appreciate that. It feels nice to be seen. So on that front, I never felt seen. I never felt heard. I never felt like I had a connection. The short version is I came from a broken home of a spiteful person and someone who just had a good heart but didn't know, shit from Shinola about anything. When who does really, But anyways, I didn't really have I didn't have a sense of community growing up. I didn't feel that I had very, very many close friends that I could trust, and anyone that I could trust, it always came with strings. I could trust them, but I could trust them with everything but this or but that or not that, like most people. Like how do you fully trust someone? And if you can fully trust someone, like if you've, made a working relationship last for any amount of time, you understand that communication is paramount to success. Like communicating and understanding. And by communicating and understanding, I mean you have to say what you mean and mean what you say. I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but I'm bringing it back. Okay, so everyone listening and watching is probably like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I just want you to understand that I'm the weight that I'm giving my words to you. Whether you take it or not, I don't care. That's your prerogative. What I'm saying is that I didn't have what I felt was anyone or anything. And I've constantly looked for acceptance everywhere. Right. I when I was younger. And I would do it by, indulging other, urges and things with people who are willing. And, I didn't understand how to fill the void in myself. And it took therapy and a lot of like inward thinking and talking. And I've taken notes for years of myself. I have like, I have put in the work, as it were. I'm not perfect. I won't lie. I made some terrible mistakes in my life, things that I regret. And I've made amends for every one of them that I feel that they deserve. And the ones that I can. But there's somebody somewhere that feels I wronged them that I don't think that I did, and that's a them issue, right? So this all comes back to Well, hold on. So look, this all comes back to, and I'm bringing this all up because it's all connected to the same stuff, right? This all comes back to, me not understanding how to have a human connection, what human connection was. So I went my entire life not understanding the concept. Like it just didn't even, there it was, like it just didn't congeal. It didn't register. Like what even is this? What is this? And in therapy, like I was able to discover that, I exist and other people, I had given the opinions of other people so much weight over the years, that what had happened is who I was presenting the world was not who I was, but who I had thought the world wanted me to be. And this person, this articulate speaking person that you're talking to at this moment, this caring individual has always been there. I was raised in an extremely violent household. Like I never understood that you could solve a problem without anger until a year ago. I had no actual upbringing, if you would, like the phrase that I coined, and I'm so angry that I said it. I said the word feral, and I said it probably 8 months ago. And now that word is like catching on mainstream as a, you know, a buzzword for people who are like me. And it's like, oh my God. And I'm not claiming, I didn't hashtag it. I'm not claiming nothing. I'm just saying it's really weird that I said it and now it's like catching on, because it's like, well, that's the truth. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. No one told me what to do. You know, I was never given a guide. My father went to work and came home, and if I interrupted his time, I got my ass kicked. There was no one else there. Who am I supposed to ask? You? What do you know? Right?
Right.
Has anyone else felt like me ever? Did you ever feel like that, Dustin?
I don't think I necessarily felt that way. My mom didn't have the means to emotionally really handle my brother and I. She had a lot more emotional issues than I ever understood. She too would just utilize violence or whatever to get her point across with us. But it's weird because when you're young like that, you see the love that she provides, you know, the love that your parent can provide. And then, you know, there's the discipline. So you start to think, well, you know, I just need to be better. You know, then maybe, you know, that she's doing this or whatever for all these reasons. And I think back at like specific events and that happened as a kid, you know, and I understood that my brother and I were probably a handful for my mom, but you know, single mom, not able to really handle things. But I wouldn't necessarily classify my brother and I as feral, but I totally understand what you mean when you say that, because I think we've all known people that classification fits like a glove, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I grew up in you know, like a Section 8 housing apartment complex. Um and that was kind of a thing. There was a lot of like that feral kid thing going on with, you know, parents who weren't either there enough or didn't care enough or whatever. So yeah, I mean that's an absolute valid terminology, I think, for a lot of people.
Yep. I had never given it that much thought. Thank you for putting it like that. I've been so caught up with getting my own life in order, I hadn't actually given the thought that other people could feel that way even a second's notice. That's a very good point. Thank you. Wow. Sorry. I that's how in my own bubble I am right now. I'm trying to get all this crap. Sorry to
Sure.
but no, that's forgive me. I am so behind in the life coaching scenario and all that as far as getting the business side of it going. I'm months behind. So I'm not trying to hijack. Let's go back to talking about that though.
Yeah.
You were so you said you came up in Section 8 housing, and thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to hide from me. I mean, because that's like the point of what we do here is to grow a community and to be honest and transparent. And you talk about communication.
Yeah.
Communication is paramount, you know, like whether it's with your spouse or your friends or you know, a community like this. I try not to hide anything. I try to share everything that's pertinent and relevant. But yeah, growing up in Section 8 housing, terrible food on food stamps, like when Aldi's wasn't bougie.
Oh, I can recall that time, sir.
Yeah. So
I can recall.
Yeah. So there's just, I mean, there's a lot of things I think that come into play here, and I think, I mean, it's truly valid because, you know, I imagine that you grew up in a neighborhood that was similar to mine, whether or not it was Section 8 or not, or you know what I mean, just, you know, poverty level, that kind of thing, I imagine. Not to assume anything, but yeah, I just think, you know, you talk about this and like, you know, kind of being wrapped up in yourself because you're trying to do all the self work, you're trying to better yourself, and then you're not quite sure because you never had those connections, so you never really were able to see what everybody else was going through. So, I
Mhm.
mean, that's definitely, it's very, it is enlightening to know you're not alone. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing too, circling back to the keto thing as well. No, excuse me, is I've been able to interact with people and find out things like I felt that on the bottom of my sternum has like a weird bump. And that's basically from being big enough to where it deformed. And I didn't realize that until someone else said something. So just little things like that, and just being able to communicate, and communication is key here. Where just being able to communicate, share stories, to know you're not alone, um, to know that what you went through, someone else has. They share the same experiences. That's so important to address here, and I appreciate everything that you're saying here, because yeah, I'm learning more about you than I've ever known, and we've known each other 25 years.
Yeah. That's thank you for saying that. And thank you again for offering to allow me to do this and just,
Yeah.
get all this stuff out of here. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's what you're doing is good. And again, thank you again for helping talk me through like the keto stuff at the beginning. And I asked you so many questions, like, what about this? What about this? What about this? You were a saint. Thank you. But to circle all the way back to why I became a life coach, and we'll skip the terrible rest of the backstory, and just get to the now. So in the now, I did a lot of self discovery and therapy. Like I learned how to handle grief. Had no idea how to do that. I understand how to do that now. I learned how to have perspective, and I mean true perspective. There's a book by Viktor Frankl. If anyone out there has read or listened to the audiobook, I commend you. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. It is a first-hand account of a survivor of Auschwitz and Dachau. Mm. And it is not a light read. It turns my stomach to even think about it. But it will give you perspective, my friends. That it will do. But yeah, I'll just name drop him. My therapist's name was Gary Seacrest from Aspire in Valparaiso, Indiana. Feel free to hit him up. He worked wonders for me. But the reason I'm bringing Gary into this is because what I discovered after becoming a life coach is what my therapist did for me was coach me to becoming a life coach, and gave me the therapy that I needed to get out of my own way. So in therapy, the actual therapy I was given was the why of my emotional past. The rest of my therapy was life coaching. And when I understood what that man had done for me, that's when I was like, this has changed my life. Like, I want to do this for other people. And I brought it up to him. I said, I want to be a therapist. I was like, I want to be able to help you. Like in therapy, I discovered that my purpose in life is to be a helper. That's just what I am. I help people. Like, you need help with this, I got you. You need help with that, I got you. Like that's just who I've always been. And I'm able through coaching to help people, right? Like I can, and I'm not trying to flex, but because I understand how coaching works now, I can coach anybody. And I'll say that with confidence. As long as the person is willing to be coached and they are honest with themselves, I can coach any single person on this planet. If they can set their ego aside, sign me up. But what I will say is and to that is I have years and years and years and years of experience of being an empathetic listener. I have met thousands and thousands of people who have been happy, sad, and angry about music that I have written or been a part of or played in front of them. I've had so many people come at me with, with their story and what this means to them and all this other stuff over my life. I've had so many unique human interactions that I've got legitimate like human life experience to share with people that understand that understand human connection, right? So what that does in a coaching, how I'm bringing this into coaching, is it becomes I'm me being personable. I'm just me sitting here like this, right? And that's a lot of people find that, a life coach, they first of all, a lot of people think coaching is, go team, go. And like, yeah, sure. Or like, hey man, get up and get your shoes on and go to work. Yeah. Okay. Sure. That's motivational speaking, I guess, but that's not what coaching is. Not how I do it. I'm not a celebrity coach either. I'm not one of those type of coaches that will advise. I don't give advice. I'm not going to say, well, I think you should do this. What I think doesn't matter. In my coaching session, the only thing that matters is what you think. Sounds a little different than me telling you what to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So what we do is we talk about something, and we could even do a quick one here in a minute and between us, if you were willing to. But the idea is it's something that you want to accomplish and you don't know why. You can't figure it out. You can't, it's something that you want to do, but you just, I can't find the time to do this, or I really want to do this. I've just not gotten around to it. Or I want to go to the, what is that? The NASA museum in Florida. Yeah. I want to go down there. I want to take my family on a trip. Okay. How do we get there? We go through the steps. And when we find a step, we're talking, and all of a sudden, oh, we can't go. Well, why not? Because the axle's broke on the car. Well, the axle's broke on the car. Well, how do we fix that? Well, we got to get a new axle. Okay. Well, how do we get a new axle? Well, we got to pay for it. Okay. We got to hire somebody. Okay. Who's paying for it? Who's hiring it? How do we accomplish those goals? And you just keep chaining it down. And what you find is, at the end of the day, a lot of us are angry and afraid. And by a lot of us, I mean every single one of us. Everything in your life, every decision that you make is based off of anger or fear at the primary level. That's science. It's in there, right? Ask any of those big brain therapist guys or whatever. But I don't have a ground to stand on here. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't have a reference to be like, oh, it's right here. Just going from experience, of course. But to tie this all the way back into how and why I became a life coach, Gary helped me understand myself. And for the first time in my life, I love myself. And that's a weird thing. A month ago, for the first time ever, I felt content. I've never felt content.
Feeling, right?
Yeah. To sit there and literally be like, I am not afraid. I am not angry. I am not sad. I am not wanting. I just am. That had never happened to me before in my life. And it took me 44 years to get there. And now, other people who may have grown up differently than myself or yourself, they may have other issues, but just because we all have issues doesn't mean we all can't grow. Right? It comes down to being honest with yourself.
100%.
And when you are honest with yourself and you are accountable to yourself and you hold yourself to your accountability, that's the tricky part. Everybody's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'd never do that. I'd never do that. And then you're in the heat of the moment and, well, rip, you did it. It's tough. And what
It's kind of
life
the
coach,
same thing with with this changing of a lifestyle, like understanding yourself, how to make sure you're setting yourself up for success.
yes,
Because if you don't truly understand yourself, if you're not being honest with yourself, so as someone like say someone is coming into the ketogenic lifestyle and they are a binge eater, but they haven't come to terms with being a binge eater, or a food addicted, and they haven't come to terms with, they haven't been honest with themselves
correct.
about that. They're not, they're going to come into this and maybe they'll stumble across it a little bit, but I mean, I think there's a real need for most people to, for self-discovery, because you're nailing it on the head there with the fear, the sadness, the emotional. Basically, I kind of feel that most of us kind of go through life not really even understanding our own emotions. Where and you come across people who are overly angry at every single turn of everything in their life, or afraid of everything in their life, or I mean, and it manifests in ways like that if someone gets a flat tire and they go off and they can't handle the rest of their week, or whatever, right? So self-discovery is paramount, however you're able to manifest that, right? Whether you're sitting down with a life coach, or your pastor, or your grandma, or whatever you have to do to talk it out. I think that's so very, very vital. And I think what you're looking to do is going to be beneficial to people.
Thank you. that's that's the plan. That's what I was getting all the way back to. Is what I'm able to do with this is, if I go to school to be a therapist, great. But life coaching is literally therapy. I can have the same level of conversation with you. Forgive me. That's not fair to say. I'm allowed to have the same levels of conversation with you that a therapist can have. I do not deal with the emotional past. That's the difference. We can deal with emotional now. If you're upset in this moment and you want to talk about it, and you want to talk about why you're upset and who's making you upset or what's making you upset, we can talk all the way about that. And we might talk about it all the way till uncomfortability. We might talk about it till you find out your mom left you at the pool once for 6 hours and you were upset about that. At that point, we stop the conversation and I say, would you like to continue this line of talking? Is this helping us towards our goal? Or would you like to refer out to a therapist where they can help you with this? Or would you like to move forward in the now? Right? Because when it comes to the emotional past, a coach can't touch it. That's where therapy is, because that's the why. People who are hung up on why, like myself. Again, I'm only saying this from experience. So if you're watching this and you're like, this guy doesn't know, feel free to look into me. Ask me some questions, reach out. # realized vision solutions. Right. Sorry, I had to do it. But no, oh man, it's just what coaching has enabled me to do is I can get my feel goods for myself. I can fund my life because what I do absolutely has value. There's people who are like, oh, they just don't understand. And it's like, you don't understand the value of yourself. Like, I feel bad for people like that, honestly, because I undersold myself in my studio for years. I doubled my rates and advertised the day I got out of coaching and made a killing in a week. Like,
Well, that's the thing, is like, that's that kind of thing. We undersell ourselves in all aspects of our life, where you've been doing the engineering, the recording, and all that, and all that stuff
yeah,
for a long time. And and not to get into what you charge or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I think we often undercharge ourselves because we want. It's kind of a twofold thing, I think, because we want to provide value,
Yes.
and we don't want and with providing value, we don't want to seem like we're price gouging or whatever. But at the same time, you have to look at what is your time worth? How much is, because I think we lose sight of what our time is worth, because our time is the most finite resource that we have.
I agree.
So what is your time worth, and where do you meet in the middle with what your time was worth and what value you obviously, situated yourself closer to, being where you need to be. So
Oh,
that's
sure.
difficult for most of us, and not necessarily with a studio aspect, but that's anywhere in life. That's your
Yeah.
job. Whether you work fast food or you work in a corporate environment, a lot of times we're so eager to trade our life and be underpaid because we think we're being valued in other ways. So yeah.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that statement. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, no, the only thing I would add to that is, who determines how valuable you are?
You do.
That's right. That's the answer. Like, there's no further statement necessary. Like people, brother, when we're unsure of ourselves, when we're unconfident, when we're letting the mind gremlins get us, that little imposter syndrome, that oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or God, who are you to be doing this, or why do these people pay attention to you? Who's to say? I couldn't tell you. I've had people pay attention to me for a long time. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. I have no idea what I do that's so interesting to other people, but they pay attention. And if they pay attention, I'm going to attempt to give them something to pay attention to. Just because I feel as at heart, I'm a performer, right? Like you watched as a child, right? I grew up being a performer and all that. And I love talking to people and just interacting, and the art of performing a conversation, like having an engaged moment of speaking with someone when they're having that realization in their eyes that, like, I can do this. Like, I am the thing that's causing this, or this is the reason. You know what I mean? It typically comes down to themselves, but every now and then, it's something else. And when that realization happens, good for them. But typically in coaching, it's a lot of us standing in our own way. And that's why people like to summarize it with, well, I could just tell people to get up and go and do this. And it's like, sure you can. But the difference between that and coaching is, I don't tell people what to do. I help them ask themselves a unique, original question that they've never asked themselves before. And when that happens, fresh, organic thought happens in your brain.
And here's a question for you from Facebook. Paul is asking, how long did it take to become a life coach? What schooling did you go through?
Thanks for the question, Paula. I went through CLCI, which is Certified Life Coach Institute. I've had 72 licensed coaching hours by a mentor. It's the ICF model, which is the International Coaching Foundation. They are the globally accredited and the only globally recognized institution for life coaching. They are pushing to have it recognized to the point that we can accept insurance. So hopefully one day we will.
Fascinating, because I don't know much about life coaching. I've had health coaches on, but never life coaches. So it's new information for me as well.
Sure. A lot of people, I didn't know what it was when I got introduced to it. So my therapist coached me to being a life coach, because once I found out my purpose, which was, I wanted to, connect with people. I needed my human connection. Um, and when I got that far, it like, I was like, man, I want to be a therapist. I want to do what you do. Like, I want to sit here and help people understand themselves and feel better about themselves. Like, I would feel so amazing at the end of my day if I could go to sleep knowing that I helped someone feel better about themselves, like just me. And sorry, I know that my speaking is getting quick and I'm getting passionate. Give me a moment. Allow me to calm my breathing down. Sorry, that's an old personality trait. When I get passionate, I'm probably going to evolve into a group speaker, by the way. I don't know when. It may be after I get my degree. I don't know. I am planning on going to college to get my master's to be a therapist. It just may not be instantaneously. Because I would like that experience, even at this point in life. Like, I would love to have a degree, especially because this is what I love, like talking about human beings and like how their brain works, how emotions work, how it all interacts. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, at least in my opinion. Anyway, so with Gary and coaching me to become a life coach, he's like, have you heard of life coaching? And I'm like, no. And he's like, life coaching is like therapy light. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. And see, but that's what I'm saying. See, because in a coaching session, I don't make statements. I do not make definitive statements other than repeating what you say. In a coaching session, it is all about you. Sorry, forgive me. I keep getting sidetracked with the schooling question, because it's a derailment question for people who want to pretend that, forgive me, that's not a fair statement to make. It's because you can be a life coach without any schooling. Let me jump back to this for a second. Let me get this just out here. You can be a life coach without any schooling. Dustin, you can say you're a life coach. Feel free. We can sign up, right? You can change your name from Keto Simple to Life Coach right now. Now, whether or not you can actually do it is anybody's guess. Are you actually a life coach, or are you an advisor? Are you a life coach, or are you a mentor? Are you a life coach, or are you a therapist? Do you know the difference between any of those?
Not really. I mean, it's just not something I've ever really looked into.
No, most people don't. And a lot of people have preconceived notions. So I apologize for my immediate attitude for there. It's just, obviously this is something I'm passionate about. So, but no, as far as my education, I've got 44 years and change of being a personable, lovable, kind guy.
I think that, especially from me, like when, I think most of us, coming back to even what we talked about earlier, the fear, and the anger and all that. I think there's a lot of that comes into play when we see somebody who is taking a position of authority, whether it's a life coach, a therapist,
Life coach doesn't have position of authority. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. I'm not an authority on anything. I will tell you that right now. I don't know anything. The only thing that I know is I know nothing.
Well, it's more of a perceived kind of thing. So, I mean, and also, you also brought up, like, say, someone like David Goggins, who's a motivational speaker, who will tell you, put your shoes on, go run 200 miles, that kind of thing. And I think the ignorance of people, rightfully so, because we're just not really, in tune with what each individual thing is. We all lump all of that together. And then we have questions. And
That's
I
fair.
think,
That's
and
fair.
that's what I like to put here is like, it's a safe environment to ask
Yeah.
questions, to tell, for you to
Yeah.
tell who you are and everything. So,
Cool. And I apologize. I forgive my aggression. It's just, yeah, I'm so passionate about helping people that it's that question or a version of that question is the number one asked derailment question. And it's just, it's so, it's unfun to be in the moment and be, super passionate about what you're talking about and have someone hit you in the face with mud.
well, because my question is then, what's how do we determine the difference between a derailment question and a truly curiosity, a curious question?
I mean, okay, in that context, that I made an assumption. You are right, and I shouldn't do that. That's correct. I shouldn't. But we're not in a coaching session. You're interviewing me. I'm a human being. I make mistakes.
Sure. I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. So, I mean, then that's just one of those things that, um, it's like kind of things that, excuse me, I worry about those questions as well, to me, because, I don't have any schooling, no degree, no, I haven't taken any
Oh,
course or anything like that. But,
sure.
as I said, like I could be a life coach, but in reality, what I'm talking about and what I try to talk about is just my experiences as a
Sure.
person who started, where I did and where I've what I've accomplished personally, and then I just try to share that out. And I understand there's gonna be people who don't understand. Even when
Sure.
I first started this journey, there'd be people that we both know. I'm not gonna name any names or anything like that, but somebody that we both know comes up on a post that I made and just goes, huh, fake. So I mean, and it happens, and I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, and it's that's 9 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever. So I mean, it's still something that stays back here, right? But I just have to, if I'm going to put myself out there, I have to understand that people are going to look at me as a snake oil salesman. Because I mean, like keto is looked at like that because it's not necessarily recognized by the FDA. It's not recognized. It's not even really, your doctor probably can't even recommend it to you
Oh
or
yeah, no.
won't recommend it to you.
Yeah, no,
So
not at
there's
all.
a lot of that to where I think there's that general curiosity, and then there's also that fear that creeps in. Well, he's telling me something that they're telling me not to do, so why should I trust?
Oh, okay, fair enough. And that's, you know what, that's a fair statement. That's a fair statement. So for anyone who thinks that I'm pulling the wool over their eyes, I'm building a website and I've got reviews coming. Like I have them. I have that. It's, I don't know how else to say it other
Well, here,
than,
and she has a further statement here. So she's like, I'm inspired to help people as well. I'm just making sure if I would like to do the same thing, I'm in a
oh,
generation that everything is required schooling. And that is the reasoning for the question.
thank you, Paula. And I'm sorry. Forgive me. That's, that's legitimate. Anyone can be a life coach. And forgive me, there's no competition here either. If you want to be a life coach, be a life coach. More, please. All of you, please become, the more people who are helping others feel better about themselves and understand themselves, and are patient with others and can hold a space for someone else who's, that's another thing. A life coach can be that too. If you're having a bad day and you just need to have a go, I can hold that space for you. I could do 2 exercises with you right now that would have you bawling like a baby if you would trust me, but I'm not going to do that to you on your stream. But you know what I mean? But
It doesn't
like,
take much to make me cry, by the way. So
well,
that's not
sure,
really,
fair.
that's not the flex you think it is.
Give him a feather. Fair enough. And there's no, hey man, I'm not flexing anywhere. I'm just
I'm
saying
just
like,
teasing you.
excellent. But no, anyone can be a life coach. And truly, and I mean this, and my anger only came from my passion, because life coaching to me is all about positivity. Like, I want to inspire people. I want others to inspire others. Like, I want everyone to just lift everybody else up. Me personally, I'm not talking about life coaching in general. I'm talking about me personally. John Hehman, Realized Vision Solutions, Bang Recording, whatever. Friend of Dustin from Keto Simple. Hashtag the Bearded Wonder. You know, I'm just grateful to be here, to know you, to be a part of this, and I would want nothing else in life than for all of you to feel the same way. Like, you want to know what I want in life? I want you to feel as happy as I do. That's it. That's what I want. Is I want everyone else to understand themselves as well as I do. And I think, again, this is all me. So, right, this is about me in this moment, right? I. What I want is for all of you to feel as good as I do. And that's all I want.
But I mean, and that's really why we're here, right? So I mean, whether it's emotional, physical, health and all that related, that's really what we're all here to do. We're all here to share our experiences, promote well-being, whether it is through food or, communication, talking with somebody, getting to understand yourself better. It is one of the things that we do need, because Paula did say here a little bit more. She said, that's a thing we need more of in the world, is positivity. We need more people to understand, because, as there's 8 billion people in the world
and growing.
And a lot of us have no idea that we're in our own way. So, that's what, you talked about that as well, finding a path to get out of your own way.
Yes, sir.
Same thing for me. I mean, that's what we're all here for, is just to be a guiding light for somebody who feels hopeless, helpless.
Yes.
Whether or not they realize it or not.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You nailed it. And thank you again for allowing me this experience. Like, I'm flattered that you would have me on, and that you just shared your knowledge of keto with me at all. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So for anyone who's curious, again, if you're just now tuning in, Dustin helped me with keto forever ago, and he has definitely inspired me. So, for the positive, and so I'm grateful to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and it's bringing, it brings me a sense of joy too, to see, people that moving up, bettering themselves, I mean, the same thing, when you were joining bigger and bigger bands and touring, and then, doing the recording in your house, and seeing the bands that you were recording, and seeing you move up and, record bigger bands, and hearing the progress of the recordings and all that stuff, and then seeing you progress on yourself personally, like this is it's inspiring to see, you move forward, because that's what we want from our friends. That's what we want from the people that we care about. That's that human connection we're talking about.
Yes, sir. Thank you for seeing and recognizing me. I truly feel validated, honestly. Thank you. Thank you. And
now, before we go, and go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, I just wanted to respond to Paula real quick.
Oh yeah, sure.
Paula, if you want to talk about this stuff, I'm not trying to bait you, but shoot me a message and I'll talk to you more about schooling for life coaching. There's a bunch of stuff out there. There's so many different places that life coach. There's so many different styles of life coaching. None of them are wrong. None of them are the best, right? What I did for life coaching is I looked into which one was not religious affiliated and came from a place of non-judgment. And that brought me to ICF and CLCI. Because what I was trying to say a moment ago is my take on this is I'm trying to be inspiring and, give people hope, and I'm trying not to use the word spiritual or religion, but the idea is is to be like those without them. To just be good, to just be kind, to just give grace, to just be friendly, to just be understanding, to just have empathy, to just be those things. That's all I'm selling. That's my entire personality. That is my entire coach push. When you come to me, that's what you get, along with my excitement and what are we doing? You tell me where we're going and let's get you there. That's about it. That's how I coach. There's celebrity coaches, and I'm going to talk about this for a split second. That one lady that was on CNN is now a quote unquote life coach. That lady is giving advice. That is not coaching. That's advice giving. That's an advisor. A mentor is someone like yourself who has like real world experience. I have done this. I have done that. I have done this. And you bring people under your wing and you say, this is exactly how I do this. That is mentoring. Advising is just saying, well, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. This is what I would do. That's not coaching. That's just telling somebody what you would do. That's akin to saying, get up, go to work, put your shoes on. That's not coaching. It's just not. Coaching is, Dustin, a minute ago, you talked to me about that comment from years ago that said fake. And you brought that up for a reason. You're using it as a driving force to keep yourself grounded as not a, imposter syndrome. Am I correct in that statement?
It goes a long way with that. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll say that just for the sake of argument in this moment, to make this as fast as possible,
sure,
that yes, we agree. Okay. So not to ask a leading question, but to talk about other things that you've brought up. You talked about how this has been a moment for you becoming the YouTube creator, becoming the Dustin Keto Simple, right? Inspiring people through your work with your keto.
100%.
If you could sit here right now and talk to yourself the morning you read that fake post, what would you say to yourself?
Just keep going. I mean, realistically, that's really what it came down to was.
No, it's now hold on, not what it was. I don't want to recount.
Right.
Tell me what you right now sitting here talking to me in this moment would say to yourself when you first saw that and you felt that sting, that pang, if you could sit there and be like, look what that's done for you. Do you still need to hold on to it?
Now this is going to seem weird, but that is a tough question, because where I'm at now and where I was then are very different places.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm at now with that statement, I'm able to utilize that statement in the now to prove that statement was not correct.
What?
Does that make
Holy shit! I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. So what I was trying to say was, I don't know. I do. Yeah.
I love you so much. I'm so sorry. What?
See.
No. Look. So that's now, and that's okay. What just happened right there is your brain hiccuped, because I asked you a question you had never asked yourself before. And that's what just happened. Everyone who just saw him do that answer, that's what happens when you get asked a coaching question. And that was super mild. And it hung you up, dude. You were like, how the hell do I answer that? You started the car motor, right?
Not being able to go to the past and bring that, you know what I mean? Like, I just have to look at where I'm at now.
Right.
but I, as of right now, I still think it was not a valid statement, but it was a driving statement. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So
Because
okay.
being able to validate it as incorrect. Does that? I don't know.
Do you believe you've done that?
Yeah.
I like hearing that. Thank you for sharing that with me. So if you validated it, and you don't even need to think about that anymore, right?
It's true.
Because where you are right now, according to you, is better than you've ever been.
Right. I don't know if it'll go away.
You can't predict the future.
Yeah, that's true.
So what could you do to secure your future in this moment?
I mean, realistically, just keep going. I mean, keep doing what I'm doing and learning and growing.
Sounds great. Sounds good to me. Thank you. Thank you. I hope. What's a step you could take to make sure that you're going to stick to it?
I mean, that's a tough question because realistically, I've been putting steps in place the entire time to get where I'm at here.
Mm-hmm.
And just me continuing doing these sit downs and talking with people and sharing and trying to find other people's experiences and how they relate to me and relate to others, I think is the building blocks of the future. Just making sure that I can continue to share not only my experiences, but your experience and others that, that will be on in the future as well. So
Well, that sounds great, but you didn't really answer my question. How are you going to make that a step? How are you going to make that an actionable step? What is the step you are taking? You're just going to keep doing stuff. That sounds good. What is that? What does keep doing stuff mean?
Oh, I honestly don't know.
If you could, let's say in this moment that you don't know, where are you right now and who are you?
I'm at home on a live with you, and I'm Dustin Keto Simple.
Dustin Keto Simple. It sounds simple enough. If I had a magic wand, who would Dustin Keto Simple be in 5 years?
That would still be me.
Doing what?
This.
What would what would it look like? Would you still be in this house? Would you be in an office? Would you have a bigger space, a smaller space?
I would like to see myself in an office. I mean, this is my office, but I would like to see more. I would say I would like to see myself more sustainable, monetarily sustainable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now that sounds like an actual coaching goal. We've got to one. Yay. We've got to a goal we can work on. So monetarily sustainable. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. In this moment, what is lacking to stop you from being monetarily sustainable?
Money. It's growth. It's just exponential growth. It just takes, that's real. Kind of the long and short of it is just continual growth. I just have to continue to grow and drive and push and continue to do what I'm doing and focus on the goal of becoming monetarily sustainable and implementing those steps, working with other companies that are valuable to the community and such. So
tell me more about that. What other steps are you taking here?
Well, I'm always looking for companies that provide value to make the journey easier for people. So I mean, because I work with companies already, and I am very picky with the companies that I will work with.
Hmm.
I do get DMs and such and emails from companies quite a bit, but they're not often they're obviously not the right fit. Otherwise, I'd be working with them. But those are those are the goals. Continue to work towards working with companies or having better relationships with companies and better relationships with followers, subscribers, members. Providing more to to the members that I have here. There is a lot of work that continues to go on. As a content creator, it's more work than, and I hate to use the word real job, but I mean the thing is like it's harder and to get off. It's basically running your own business
Mm.
because that's everything is you. I do everything, so yeah.
I hear you. I hear you.
You run your own you run multiple businesses now, so you understand getting them off the ground. You talked about, your recording and all of that and making steps to, to make that more sustainable for you and your family and everything. So it's similar to me, though though the lines of monetization for me are a little different. I can't just charge more, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. So let me. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, and acknowledged. By the way, thank you for sharing all that with me. I'm hearing you. So, man, you're talking specifically about bringing in like new monetization,
Yeah.
and at the same time, you're talking about the amount of work that you're putting in and the value that you bring to people. So how, not how, what is something you could do aside from what you currently do that you may have seen a competitor do or a business that you like do that interacts with you maybe directly that you could borrow or lend from to associate with your people?
That's a tough question. On the surface, it's striving to continue to build trust of the people who follow me, people who, tune into these lives and gain the trust of others who come in who may not trust in this as we've talked about, So I don't know. I think that's kind of where I'm stuck anyway, just being able to ensure that I can grow and continue to grow, but maintain the level of communication with people that follow me, keep their trust, and not let them down. Because
Okay.
there is an air of in this space, like people, like with advertising and things like that. If you're having, ads in the middle, like ad reads in the middle of your content, people get frustrated with that and because
Mm.
they see it's just like a cash grab type thing sometimes. So being able to work through that and ensuring that I am providing, these, the people that in this community that I'm growing, the value they deserve and not let them down and, still be able to push forward and help more people. Cause that's really at the end of the day, I guess, more importantly than the monetary is being able to grow to where I can maybe, get in front of people who need me that don't know that I exist or don't even know that they need the help.
I would love to see that for you. And thank you for sharing all of that with me. Following up, the first thing is who makes your decisions?
I do.
Great.
Yes.
Glad we agree. Okay, so to follow that up with, if people out there have an opinion on you making money, what is that opinion to you?
I mean, it is their opinion. But it's still one of those things that you want to maintain their trust and you want to maintain, you know what I mean? Does that, I mean, because you're building a relationship with them. So
of course. But at the same time, are you trying to appease a handful for the mass? I watch all kinds of YouTubers, guys who have real ads, their own ads, paid ads, and I just skip it. I watch those channels with the guys reading off their ad in the middle every day, and I just skip right past it. I don't hold it against him. That guy's got to make his money.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
So if I do it and you do it, it sounds to me like you're saying the opinions of a very minor few are dictating your finances.
True.
How can we fix that?
By moving past it.
You tell me. How is that? How are you going to move past it?
It's difficult for me because, and I know it shouldn't be, but just, you know, like I should, you know, and I could sit here and say that it's easy for me to say, just ignore them or not pay attention to them. And I know that I shouldn't. But that's some personal growth that I have to make because it is difficult for me. I mean, because at the end of the day, I am a people pleaser that, like, you know, like the whole, you know, you don't want to disappoint anybody, you know? And I mean, it is a very difficult thing for me to move past.
Understood.
So, I mean, you know, I mean, it's just that it's going to be something that I work on and something that I will continue to work on because, I mean, I have to work on it. I mean, there's no questions about it. It's something that has to be worked on. But to me, it is akin to like my food addiction. No matter how I grow and understand it, and no matter how many steps I put in place to avoid going backwards, the food addiction and my own people pleasing tendencies are always going to be there. And I just have to make sure that I am putting myself and what Evelyn just said here. She says, I know this is deep, but I wanted to add a funny when asked who makes your decisions. Wanted to say Shannon. That, I mean, realistically,
yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, it is true because I am autonomous. I have my own autonomy, but she and I are a partnership. So, I mean, you know, we discuss everything. So when I say I make my decisions, she has a hand in that too. There's not a decision that's made in this house that doesn't have a conversation behind it between the two of us. Whether it's her picking up an extra day of work or doing whatever it is, we are peas and carrots.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of that with us, by the way. And having someone on your team like that is paramount to success. I know that, there's probably single people out there watching, or someone who doesn't have someone or whatever. There's somebody out there. There is. I guarantee it. We just got to figure out how to get you to them. I'm not trying to sell myself to anybody watching, but if you see what's happening to our friend Dustin right now, you know
it's an uncomfortable thing. I mean, really, I mean, it's no more uncomfortable than dealing with it on your own.
But
does that make sense?
Kind of, but let me add this. So like what I do as a life coach is I'm basically your thinking partner. That is my value. That is what I bring to the table for you. I help you think. So we were talking about what, my friend? What were we talking about? We were talking about an action step that you were going to take to stop letting the opinions of others dictate how you are going to evolve. Am I right? Is that what we were talking about?
Yes.
Cool. Keep telling me more about that. What steps are you going to take, my friend?
Oh, a lot of self-work to get to where I can get myself to where I can ignore those things, not let them interfere with my own thoughts. Because that is real. I mean, there's a lot of people out there to say, don't read the comments of social media.
Yep.
But that's a luxury that someone who's already found great success has. And
I agree.
And it's not even something that it doesn't matter how successful I get. I don't think that'll ever be something that I can do, because the community aspect of this is so important.
My friend, are you telling me that you believe that you can't speak to your community from the heart because you're going to get attacked?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all, because I lay it all on the line for everybody.
Good. Then maybe I misunderstand
in most cases.
Could you reframe what you said then? Because maybe I misunderstand what you're saying.
So what I'm trying to say is, they tell you to not read the comments, but because of my goal of community building, being involved in the comments is part of that, and something that I am passionate about. When people comment on a video, then I'm going to be involved in the comments. I don't think I'll ever get to a space where just not reading the comments is a thing. Now, I know I'll get to a point where I'm not able to respond to all of the comments. And then I will be, because right now the comments that I can respond to every comment that I get.
Sure.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
And I know eventually that will get to a point where I'm only really, concerning myself with the positive comments, so to speak. And there's really, I mean, and I say this at a high level, though, 99% of my comments are positive. I don't get a lot of negative comments.
Excellent.
Which I'm fortunate in that, because the internet is a sketch place.
Yes, sir. The internet is not very friendly and people are mean.
Yes.
So can I ask you a question? I'm almost done with giving you a little sample. What do you know what the phrase mindfulness means, or like what the word mindfulness means?
I guess I'm not familiar with the definition, but I know what it means to me.
What does it mean to you?
So me being mindful is being empathetic to others and understanding, or being able to anticipate their needs and being aware of their needs, I guess.
Okay.
emotionally or whatever.
Excellent. That's pretty damn close to what I would say it is too. Thank you. Can you be mindful of your emotions and your needs?
Yes.
You can. Tell me an example of when you've seen an emotion coming and stopped it. If you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So for me, one thing that comes to mind, and it's because it's something that I've been dealing with as of recently, is when frustration comes on. If I get overly frustrated, that is one of the triggers for me to like want to go to McDonald's and order like $30 of the food. You know, I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be anything substantially frustrating, but understanding and coming to terms with that frustration. And when that frustration comes on, I know then I take, I'm mindful of myself with the frustration that I'm getting frustrated. And this, and frustration leads to wanting to self-soothe or whatever the case is for me. So typically, if I'm really upset and I'm really frustrated, then I will take a moment and I'll shoot Shander a text or call her, and then we work it out together. Whether it's something that happens at the grocery store or at the tire place, or whatever life throws at you that causes that frustration, I'm learning and working on myself enough to know that I need to basically talk to her. And she is my go-to person, because I know that I'm not always best left to my own devices. Does that make sense?
It does, but I have to ask you a question. So you said that you're not the best left to your own devices.
Yes.
You also said that you make your decisions.
Yes.
Who's deciding what your devices are and who's giving into them?
Me. And I found that is a long process.
Indeed. This is the real block, my friend. I won't go any further because this is not the point of this.
Yeah.
But thank you, everyone. We're gonna stop here. Okay, I'm not gonna keep pushing it, because this is where shit gets hairy, and I don't want anything to happen. Thank you for being willing and vulnerable. Like, I see you, acknowledged. Everyone should cheer for Dustin, because what he just did was brave. He let me ask him some serious questions, and he gave you all honest answers. And if you want a reason to trust your friend about his marketing, let the man make his money. he was just his honest self for you, and I'm being honest with you and him for his sake right there. If you want to finish this off camera later, we can.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just putting that out there. But I see you. I understand. What I would say as a coach before I completely check out of that mindset and just go back to being John. When you talk about your frustrations and the mindfulness, and you saw it, you're able to catch it, right? You know that when you're frustrated, you trigger into an event, right? Frustration triggers you to whatever event this is. So we have to be able to see the frustration coming. You know that the frustration gives you that. So you've at least got that wherewithal. You got to catch this. So how do you get back here? How do we get from here to seeing frustration start?
I guess depends on where the frustration comes from. Because sometimes, so as an example, the other day I was at the tire place And I was under the impression that when I bought these new tires for my car, that I had purchased insurance for the tires. So I was going in because I needed a tire replaced. For the person to tell me that I did not, that I declined the insurance, which would, doesn't matter, but would not happen. But talking with him and then, getting more and more frustrated as the conversation goes along with asking questions of him and him not knowing what, there was a long line of things happening there. So like understanding how that situation was frustrating, it still needed to be handled. And so realistically, like I said, I went and was texting Shander as things were going on, but there was some downtime. He had to go and ask people questions and whatnot. And it basically came down to the fact that it was time for me to go ahead and say, I'm done. I need my car back. I'm leaving here, because it wasn't going to get resolved in a way that was going to be pretty. And I'm not a person that likes to be that guy, if you know what I mean. I don't like to lose my temper, and I don't want to be and make a scene in a public place. That's just not who I am. And I mean, and it doesn't resolve anything in a business. And so it was just one of those things where I knew that I need that basically it just was like, okay, time to end this. And I will take it up with another company and we'll resolve the issue a different way. So I don't know if that's kind of like this, what you're talking about, like seeing it coming, because you don't necessarily see that coming until like, oh, wait, you didn't buy the insurance. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Kind of, it does. Thank you. So I was going to say, so what I'm hearing you say is you're describing what happens, like what was making you frustrated.
Yes.
But what about the conversation? It comes down to, you thought that you ordered. If this is what I'm hearing you say, you thought that you ordered the insurance, yes. And that guy's saying, well, you thought you did, but either the person checking the box over here clicked decline, or you did by accident. But he probably didn't relay it like that. Right? It was probably like, and instead of telling you the facts, which as a consumer, you'd have been like, well, shit. Is there anything else I could do in that moment? You wouldn't. Right. A rationally thinking person wouldn't explode to that. You know what I mean? Right. If you walked in and you were like, I need to replace my tires, I'm pretty sure I got the insurance, and I was the counter person, I'd be like, okay, what's the, okay, you don't have the extra insurance. Well, I swear to God, I bought it. Well, I wasn't there, but either someone deselected it. You know what I mean? You don't make an accusatory statement, right? You just say that a non-ownership giving statement, like that's just how you speak to someone if that's your position. Like, so that's just on them. Even if you were wronged, the guy who originally rang you up said, I don't like that guy, or whatever. Even if you were wronged in that scenario, who decides if you're frustrated?
Me. And I did, and like I say, like, that's the thing is I am very careful in allowing I'm learning to be more careful with how to not let my frustrations take over.
Yeah.
And I asked a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And what grew the frustration was he didn't have any answers to any questions. And then there was a lot of things there where they were like trying to put the wrong wrong size tire on my car, trying to summon the wrong size tire. And I'm like,
wow.
And it was just little things that were like, because I had asked him, I said, okay, so I understand that, this tire that needs to be replaced isn't going to be under warranty. I understand that. The other tires are fine. Is there any way to proactively put insurance back on these tires? And he goes, well, let me take a look at it. And he goes, well, we don't have a way to check if the warranty or if there's adequate maintenance done on the tires. And I said, well, if you look here, you can see when I purchased the tires, You can look at the starting mileage of the car and the mileage where it is now. It hasn't reached mileage where it would require any maintenance. Just, and I'm very calm. And I mean, the frustration's all on the inside. I'm not yelling at the person or anything like that.
Sure.
I acknowledge that I was very frustrated because I was very frustrated. And I mean, for me, like getting flustered is a very inside thing, not an outside thing. So that's why I always kind of feel like, well, I need to let them know that I am frustrated because they may not realize it. So that's something that's taken a lot of time to work on, not just getting upset and being mad and whatever. Right. So in that scenario, I'm always trying to put out the fires. I'm asking questions. What about this? What about this? And it was just one of those things where the person just kind of didn't understand or whether he didn't understand his job or whatever the case is. So I was just like, okay, well, I guess we're kind of come to an impasse and there's no real reason for me to continue being upset at this person. So I'll take my car and I'll go elsewhere. I mean, realistically, it's going to cost me the same, but at least I know that I maybe get better service somewhere else. So, I mean, I think I still think for me, still like a successful transaction of being upset, because
that's cool. Acknowledged. I see you. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. And I want to circle back because there's one little thing that we keep skipping right past, and I want to get to it. So in this, you're talking about, that your frustration you keep inside.
Yes.
Understood. Acknowledged. In that line of thinking, then, when you knew the person that you were speaking to was probably not going to have, the answers that you were hoping for, what could you have done differently to keep yourself from getting as frustrated as you got?
I mean, outside of, I don't know at that point because I think I ended it as soon as I got to a point where I knew that there was no way to be helped. And I think I had to exhaust that first to find out that I wasn't, it probably, I don't think I could have ended any sooner outside of just because I had so many questions.
It's not about,
and I always want to make sure that I'm asking, especially now coming out of the fact that I had just learned that I didn't ask enough questions when I had purchased the tires.
So that's kind of what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
So this sounds like what I'm hearing from you is it's inner frustration.
There's definitely inner frustration too. Frustrated at myself, frustrated at the situation, frustrated with the gentleman, who's helping me because I didn't do my own due diligence. So there is inner frustration. There's frustration at a company that would allow someone to purchase something without insurance. Cause I mean, there's just, it's a lot, it's a lot to unpack, but I mean,
absolutely.
Realistically, I mean, I know it comes to the end of the day that I didn't do the due diligence on my end when I purchased the tires. And I should have. And that's a learning experience for me. That's a growth experience for me.
Right.
Because, and I had dealt with another company for many years where I didn't have to ask them. They just did it. Yeah. And that you get lulled into that false sense of security, I guess, too. But yeah.
No, excellent. And again, thank you for your candor today and your kindness and sharing your story with all of us and me. I hear a lot about, you definitely are working on yourself. So I see you like complete. And when I say I see you, like, I'm not saying that like as a repeat robot, like I see you making an effort on yourself as a person. Like I see it. Good job. It's the best I could. I by saying I see you is the closest thing I can do to patting you on the back. Like, good job, sport. But it forgive me. You're really inspiring, man, because you're already doing a lot of work on yourself. You really are. You truly are. The only thing that, if you decided you wanted to work on it, is we could take this moment right here, this frustration that you're talking about, and we can chase that down. And it's, I believe I have gotten to the point where I could help anyone understand an emotion that's coming at them if they stop and invest the looking into them, like looking inward. You can catch your emotions. And if you can catch your emotions, think of all the possibilities. If you can catch yourself starting to get frustrated, shit, I didn't get that insurance. And as soon as that happens, if you can drop it right there and be like, well, I didn't have the insurance, so this is the situation as it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you can let it go from there and step forward without expectations. Because if you step forward with expectations from that point, you're going to get.
Yeah, you're going to get, yeah.
So if you step forward with expectations, you're going to get frustrated, like 100%. So in that moment, when we realize in whatever situation that maybe it's not a fault, maybe we're the positive reason, whatever it is, in that moment, like that little pang gets us and it hangs with us, and it'll turn the next moment and as many moments as we give it power into upward of devastation. Right? Like imagine if you were unchecked. Imagine how that anger could have exploded throughout the day. You left there, made a sharp left turn, nicked somebody, just grazed their bumper. Oh, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like because some people just have escalation bad days, like
that is true.
It happens. And in order to stop this, stop that process from anyone having a falling down moment.
Yeah. That's a reference.
Yeah, right. You have to observe. You have to be so self-aware of your emotions, of what's coming, of you. You just have to know what's going to happen. Like, I know that things that frustrate me are people being late and being interrupted. And when I first came out of my shell, as it were, everyone in my life was afraid to speak near me. People were raising their hands because I was like, what? Like, don't interrupt. Boom. Like, hit in the face. As soon as someone chimed in, smack. No, you don't. I didn't actually strike them. You know what I mean? But like, I would just immediately be like, don't interrupt and just keep talking. And, that's something that I've had to work on. I've got to, I have to understand and give people grace because most people can't communicate like I can. Most people don't have the self-awareness, the wherewithal to have, a conversation like that, to have a conversation on that level. And, that's a personal growth thing for me that I have to be accountable to. So I let people interrupt me now a little bit. I'll be like, after about the third time, I'm like, stop it. just stop it. But you, my friend, what I'm bringing this to is, if you gave that same empathy and awareness that you talk about giving, and a mindfulness that you're giving to your others, if you apply those same things to yourself, take a day or two when you got time, and think about how you could apply that to yourself. Like, in what ways am I not doing that? Like, And you might discover some interesting stuff about yourself. Would you treat yourself any different than your best friend?
I would think not.
Would you be compassionate to your best friend?
I would probably be harder on. Well, I don't know.
If your best friend came to you and they said, I have had a hell of a fucking day. My cat died. My foot got ran over. This, that, lost my job. My spouse is messing around, this and whatever. I just need to have a moment. Would you say, okay, have a moment? And would you just sit there and let them have a moment?
Sure.
Okay. Would you do that for yourself?
I like to think that I do, but
Do you? Tell me about it, if you don't mind.
Well, so going back to that situation that we were just talking about, after I left there, I was like, okay, I have to go to Walmart. We're gonna get some stuff for whatever we need, right? And because I mean it's around the corner. So I go over there and I'm like, I'm just gonna walk around for a little bit, just not zone out or whatever, just like I'm gonna walk around and look at stuff for a little bit. And because you're like, just calm down a little bit. Because I mean, I was upset, and it is difficult for me to get upset sometimes for a good amount of things, I guess. I'm slow to being upset, but kind of like once I get upset, it takes a little time for me to come back down again, I guess. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and just walk around, get what I got to get. And I don't know if that's the same thing, if that's giving myself grace or time or whatever, but
yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. Congratulations. Excellent. That is excellent self-awareness. Good job. Good job. No, yeah. If you knew that you were flustered, you know what I mean? Like this is a coping, right? This is after the fact. So I'm commending you because it's not quite the same as catching it like we were talking about, but coping with the correct way beautifully. He's got anyone watching. He's got the right idea. If you get frustrated, manage your breathing and go for a walk. You will feel better. 100%. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it for a count of 7. Exhale gently out of your mouth for a count of 8. Not seconds, just a count. Your count, whatever. Slow count, fast count. Make yourself happy. Whatever works for you. That pattern will slow you down when you are panicking, when you are frustrated, when you feel sad. That something about telling yourself to focus on your breathing, to pay attention to how long you're breathing. Feel it come into your body and fill your lungs up, expand out, pull back, and release. When you focus on that, it calms you down so fast. 3 cycles will take me from absolutely losing my mind to calm as a kitten. I don't know if it'll work for you.
I use it to go to sleep. That's very similar thing. Like I just focus on breathing, try to empty my mind. And I've kind of done that for years and years. Like
that's a form of mindfulness.
Close your eyes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's a form of mindfulness. Good job.
Yeah. So I just close. I mean, obviously you're trying to go to sleep, so your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
Breathe. Clear your mind, because I think a lot of times for me, I won't go to sleep right away because like your mind starts rabbit holing.
Oh yeah. By the way, I've switched off coach mode. It's back to John. Sorry.
Yeah.
In a coaching session, we'd come up with like we talked about an action step forever ago with your growth, and I think you'll think about that later. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. You will think about that later.
Yeah.
For everybody else, I hope you were intrigued by what you saw, and thank you for allowing me to talk to you that way, Dustin. I know it's it's difficult being asked questions like that. And it's a lot of uncomfortable questions. And if we weren't on a screen, on a scene, I would have asked a little more, in depth, but I wasn't going to blindside you with stuff like that. That wasn't my intent. So I'm not going to do that.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's definitely interesting because we don't often get asked those questions. I mean, our significant others don't ask us those questions unless they're in that kind of world,
Yeah.
Like whenever we go visit one of Chandra's sisters, her husband I don't know, they're in the middle of a divorce, but whatever. He is a therapist or counselor or something like that. So he's always asking those, well, how did that make you feel questions and all that stuff. Like, we're having dinner, dude. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, so he never quite turns off.
That sucks. Like, I mean, I can relate a little bit. At first, when I was really, the first week after that first coaching class, and I understood how to do it, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was talking to everybody like that and blowing. I talked to my primary care physician like that. And he was like, he called my wife and he goes, is he okay? Like, he called her before I left the building. I walked out of he walked out of the room and called her and was like, is he sleeping okay? And gave me sleeping meds because I was so hyped and so asking just, powerful questions right off the get. And it was great at first because it's so, and I only did it to you the one time, but there's specific phrasing to questions. Oh my God. They're open-ended questions, right? That's the idea. But there's a phrase behind it. It's all about you. In the coaching session, it's not about me, right? So, like you said that people don't talk, you don't even talk to your significant other unless they're involved in that stuff. Well, the reason we talked about what you wanted to talk about is because the session was about you.
Right.
That's what a coach brings to the table for value. I can be that for anyone watching and anything they're talking about and anything they're involved in. I can be a thinking partner. That's what a life coach is. That is the value of a life coach. And Mr. Keto Simple, I think, in my personal opinion, as your friend, if you took a coaching class, you might find some of that confidence that you're missing. I'm not telling you that you should.
Yeah.
I'm saying that as your friend, you might find what you're looking for. It's a safe place. It's a safe space. And when you're around people who are interested genuinely in what you have to say, and they're listening to you and they're hanging on your words like they are gold, you feel heard. You feel validated. You feel like you have value in the world. Everyone does. And that's what we can do for each other, right? As human beings, being there for one another, just being supportive, being, hey, look at you grow, right? That's a phrase my wife says. Look at you grow. I love that. I love it so much. It's every time, every accomplishment. Pat yourself on the back. Look at you grow. Where were you a year ago? Where were you 5 years ago? Where were you when you read some irrelevant comment from someone who can't do what you're doing?
Exactly.
I see you, my friend. I see you. You have value.
I appreciate you. And I appreciate you being here today. I really do.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Because I was kind of curious to see how, like I said, you and I have never really had as long as we've been friends, had, deep conversations. So
this is definitely the closest thing to an actual, organic level conversation that you and I have ever had. That is correct. Usually it's surface level. Yeah, what do you think about this band? What about this guitar? It's just, what do you, like, hey, how are you type stuff. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to be pleasant and friendly with people like that. But, when you need more, you got to go for more, and it, for certain people like myself, and it sounds like for you, that human connection is a deep seated thing, and you enjoy the sense of community and people interacting with you, and yeah, that's a trait we have in common, my friend.
I'm going to make sure that all of your information is in the description of this live here. So anybody catching the replay or anybody watching now can head over there. It'll take me a couple of minutes to get it in there. You have a website and
yeah, my website's a work in progress. Right now, my URL will send you to my Honeybook, which is it's my loading, but it basically shows you my services and my prices. So it's good enough, I guess. If you want to know more, reach out. I'll give it my email. You can email me.
Okay. I'll put all that in there. So anything you want to touch on before we end this? Anything outside of outside of the coaching, anything you want to plug, anything you're working on, anything you're excited about?
Oh man. I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited that you're alive. I'm excited that everyone watching is alive. I hope all of you are as happy as you can be in this moment. I hope that positivity fills your day, the rest of your day, even if right now you're standing in the pouring rain watching this on a phone. I love you. I hope your day gets better. Like, there's people out there rooting for you. There are people out there who love you, and there are people out there who are worried about your gut health, and they want to see you do better. There are people out there who are worried about your mental health. They want to see you do better. Like, we're out there. Your people are out there, and the only thing I'm excited about, man, is I'm playing music. My kids are alive. They're thriving. I have no.
They're growing up way too fast,
Don't even get me started with that. I don't even want to talk about that. Anyways, yeah. No, I'm just grateful for this opportunity. For anyone who's curious, I play in the bands Poisoned Breath, and JC in the Church. No relation. It's one of them is heavy metal, and the other one is vampire surf doom. Good luck. JC in the Church is just fun. I am not, just for anyone's clarification, I'm not religiously affiliated at all. Positivity, kindness, grace. That's it. All the good stuff without any of the dogma. That's my routine. Okay. That's all I'm going to say is I go for all the good stuff without any of the dogma. But no, as far as plugs, man, Keto Simple deserves the biggest plug on the planet. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for being my friend.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for following my music when I was younger, for just being a genuine person. Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. And thanks everybody in the chat. Thanks for the questions. Thank you to the members. I will be back here tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. And I will hopefully have some footage from Elkhart, Indiana tonight. Hanging out with two crazy ketos. Until then, we'll see you next time, everybody.
Take care.